What's up, everybody? Hail the new king of media, Joe Rogan, right? You say to yourself, Ruben, you're crazy. Howard Stern is still the king of media. He makes $90+ million a year. He has $700 million in the bank. He almost single-handedly has made Sirius satellite radio crippled for the last 10 years, right? You say to yourself, yes, you're right on all those fronts. Okay, I agree to all that kind of stuff, right? However, there had to be somebody that surfaced as the new number one radio person, right? So you say to yourself, but Ruben, that radio person had to come from traditional radio. Well, there's a lot of people in radio that could have taken the spot. One comes to mind is Ryan Seacrest, right? He's a very influential terrestrial radio person, right? But in terms of the big dollars, the really big impact, culturally, financially, and all that good stuff like that, the huge following that Joe Rogan has, the huge influence, the tremendous guests he has, he's starting to supplant this idea that Howard Stern was creating a niche where he was only interviewing high-level celebrities, right? So he would interview them for a little bit. They would weave in and out. Howard Stern would kind of, hit him with his traditional genius-level interviews. But he has gotten old. All the people in his staff has gotten old. And there's this crazy observation about Howard Stern. He did it the right way, right? He called his own shots in the era that he was in, where he went, the time frame that he came up. It was perfect what he did. He carved his own niche. He did his own thing. He fought the good fight, and he made things the way that he wanted to do, and he succeeded, right? Congrats to Howard Stern. But the whole thing is he's retiring. 2020 is his last year. He's 65 years old. There's no reason for him to continue. He needs to retire like he says he's going to do. He has $700 million in the bank. The only reason why he would continue is out of bitterness to cripple Sirius satellite radio more, right? So, and I only say that, I don't say that in a disparaging way. I say that because Sirius satellite radio has benefited immensely from Howard Stern, but his salary has made it so that the level of diversity that the programming needs to have to survive in this day of Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. YouTube is a lot of radio personalities are now making money on YouTube, right? All these Anchor, Stitcher, all these platforms now. Sirius satellite radio is just one of all the 5 or 6 or 7 major players in this whole thing. iHeartRadio, there's a list. You go on and on and on about the whole podcast phenomenon, right? So the podcast phenomenon basically replaced the talk radio person, right? That there's really no talk radio people anymore. There's very few, right? And obviously there's still a lot of money in terrestrial radio because there's still a lot of ad dollars and there's still a lot of control. The reason why there's still a lot of money in terrestrial radio is because of the control they have. And so advertisers are attracted to this idea that you can't cuss, has to be clean, you have strict formatting. It makes it easier for them to invest their dollars in a safe way, right? So now, little by little, you have these platforms that are catering to that, right? YouTube is one example of how a lot of people that were using using Apple Podcasts to monetize through sponsorships and so forth. Now they went to YouTube, and YouTube has very strict guidelines as how they allow their content to be advertised, right? right? So that being said, Joe Rogan did everything his way. He put himself in the driver's seat. Now, what was very interesting about Joe Rogan, there's a Verge article, a YouTube video that came out that it explained all the stuff that Spotify has been doing to put themselves in the driver's seat to be the premier podcast audio and video purveyor, out there, right, of content. Now, Joe Rogan signing this giant deal with Spotify, exclusive deal in January. It's going to be exclusive. September, they're going to start transitioning, and his whole catalog, since Joe Rogan owns his whole catalog, which is very interesting because Howard Stern didn't own his own catalog at the beginning, but now he does own it. So what Joe Rogan inherently learned from the great Howard Stern is you own your own stuff so you can take it with you and you can keep going on. Since he owns it, he could take it off of YouTube and put it in an exclusive place, and that has value to it, right? And the value to that is what? now if you have a loyal following, because I think he gets something like 190 million downloads on iTunes. If you go away from there, of course there's going to be people that are not going to follow him, people that are going to say he fizzled out, so forth and so on. But ultimately, Joe Rogan made a bold decision, and it's a gamble, just like Howard Stern made a gamble. And I kind of have a feeling that Joe Rogan made a good decision. He had to make a leap eventually because he was doing it all his own, and his podcast was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. He has these giant guests, Elon Musk, Bernie Sanders, so forth and so on, all these informative people. It's great to see that he's doing something for himself, and he's finally, all this stuff is coming to fruition in terms of him making money. So anyways, give me a like in the comment. Tell me what you guys think. Like, subscribe. 98% of the people that watch all of my videos, which I'm 100% appreciative of the fact that you do watch them, because I'm just a guy making videos in a car sometimes, and so if you like the video, subscribe. If you don't, subscribe too, that way you can crumb on me and hate on me every single time a new video comes out. Much appreciated. But anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.